Hi, I'm going to be presenting on cultural leadership and neuropsychology, a guide for interorganizational governance. Cross-cultural leadership is recognized as a critical tool for innovation, economic growth in governments, global corporations, and various sectors of our daily life. This critical methodology has received minimal attention in our discipline. Cultural leadership is effective at solving complex problems and is more important now than ever, given the social unrest, Capitol riots, and division. Within our field, cultural leadership can solve the ongoing disparities in clinical neuropsychology. There are deep-rooted systems of racial inequity and social injustice in our field that must be addressed. Change must happen. We all agree on that. We must be more united than ever within our own subcultures and across cultures in our support of our colleagues, clients, families, friends, and communities who are impacted. Difficult dialogues require each of us to listen, offer a safe and supportive environment where we can have open and difficult conversations on racism, prejudice, bias, not just now, but on a regular basis moving forward. We have to be open to learn and do the hard work. As leaders, we have the capability to open doors, create new opportunities, encourage and elevate those who too often have been overlooked, marginalized, or discriminated against in our clinics, training departments, and organizations. I was surprised last year when I started to do a literature review on the topic of leadership and found only 4 peer-reviewed articles in PubMed with keywords leadership, neuropsychology. Only 1 describing leadership styles in women with anecdotal examples. This is surprising since cultural neuropsychology elucidates how culture is central to how individuals think, express themselves, relate to one another, and lead. Several organizations were established and lead cultural neuropsychology initiatives in our field. While cultural neuropsychology has gained momentum over the past 2 decades due to these noteworthy efforts, the seismic US demographic shift, combined with the digital health era and a shortage of culturally responsive neuropsychologists, including a diverse trainee and leadership pipeline, have created a perfect storm, a current national and patient provider crisis. Leaders with expertise in culture often change and effect change within cultures that can go viral rapidly, as culture is a key vehicle for creativity, innovation, and disruption. Cultural competency can guide scientists and leaders in organizations to increase diversity, effective communication among members. In neuropsychology, there has been a slow increase in the number of trainee and professional leaders who represent various cultures. To my knowledge, there has not been an opportunity or initiative to coalesce leaders and resources interorganizationally to benefit from our collective expertise to create a true cultural neuropsychology at all levels. Over the last year, there has been discussion about supporting a cultural neuropsychology council development, and you can go to the website that you see listed there. A recent survey of over 50 neuropsychology leaders indicates support the development of a cultural neuropsychology council or interorganizational diversity committee. We had our first meeting in fall of 2020, and these are the initial ideas about delegates who could serve on the Cultural Neuropsychology Council. In order for us to be successful, we know that cultural factors will influence fundamental aspects of leadership, navigating power dynamics and relationships, discrimination and isms, negotiation strategies, leadership styles, and even strategy or processes moving forward. Being a successful leader within one culture will not automatically lead to success in another culture. The most recent salary survey has shown that there's been more women in neuropsychology. However, there's still a lack of culturally and linguistically diverse neuropsychologists who have filled out these surveys. Therefore, there's also continued questions like salary by gender, racial or ethnic status, linguistic background. Also potential cultural taxation, like disproportionate time on neuropsych evals, larger Medicaid payer mixes. This talk is to prepare us for doing more effective interorganizational initiatives related to culture and ongoing disparities. In our first talk, Cross-Cultural Leadership, a Toolkit for Creativity and Innovation, you will hear my conversations with Drs. Norman, Puente, and Lechuga on how cross-cultural leadership requires reflecting humbly, thinking critically, adapting and communicating, as well as understanding one's own biases. Cultural humility can also increase the ability to see from each other's viewpoints, understand each other's backgrounds, and ultimately work together. Understanding each other can also go a long way in knowing why people have certain behaviors and finding common ground with shared values. In the next talk, Leading Transformational Change, What Does Gender and Culture Got to Do with It? You'll hear my conversations with Drs. Postal, Trainee, Annie Reyes, and Dr. Ray, key aspects of gendered leadership across various intersectionalities, differences in self-promotion and saying yes to opportunities, leadership styles, mentoring, and specific processes and strategies that reduce hierarchy and power. In the next conversation, Navigating Power Relationships Across the Leadership Lifespan, you will hear in conversations with Drs. Puente, Santos, and Ray about navigating power relationships at various career stages and how culture influences power and how we mentor sponsorship opportunities and how they may hinder or strengthen leadership development. In the final conversation, Cultural Influence and Negotiating Strategies, you will hear from Drs. Nick Taylor, Dr. Santos, and Dr. David Lechuga about cultural values among different cultural groups and how that can impact communication styles, conflict resolutions, and other aspects of negotiation, which are important in group dynamics. We'll discuss collectivistic versus individualistic styles, Confucian values, indirect communication, and other types of speech or even use of humor.